here is our today's power broker with his multiple business cards representing multiple roles. If questioned by, say, a government auditor in one role, he can always say, well, you know, I was playing this other role when I did that action. All this ambiguity lends itself to deniability. It lends itself to deniability, and we're in an accountability-challenged era, the era of shadow elites. Shadow elites are the top power brokers in a new system of power and influence that debuted over the past several decades. And if we don't understand this new system of power and influence, how can we navigate it? How can we have input into the decisions that affect our finances, our security, and the wars that are fought in our names? Today's power brokers themselves are the pinnacle, the pillars of power. Power and influence resides not so much in organizations, but in social networks that connect them and work in and around them. The influence of power brokers themselves depends on their ability to blur and blend official and private. And yet, the modern democratic state has depended on separation of powers and clear-cut boundaries. But today's top power brokers, the shadow elites, break or test both the rules of the state, those would be the rules of accountability, and the rules of the free market. Those are the rules of competition, and they intertwine official and private power. And these elite networks are converging all over the world, and I know this because wherever I talk about shadow elites, people give me new examples. Now, how did I come to this conclusion? It was actually working in Eastern Europe for 30 years that led me to develop this framework. I started as a social anthropologist in Poland under communism and martial law in the early 1980s. Power brokers, these elite networks, placed their people wherever necessary to achieve their agendas, in the top of banks, government agencies, in consultancies, media, and so forth, all the while to achieve their own agendas, though not those necessarily of the organizations on whose behalf they supposedly were working. I'd like to leave you with this thought, because it was said to me by a neoconservative close to the neocon core, but it could have been said about any number of shadow elites. There is no conflict of interest because we define the interest. Thank you.